Good afternoon, I'm Gretchen. I'm afraid I can only spend a minute or two with you, as I'm about to go off to a meeting with my new boss, but I thought I'd just share with you how I work with the new system. What I like to do is manage using email, and I can get lots of different types of alerts into my inbox. As you can see here, I can approve things like transfers or promotions or requests for holiday. I can also keep up to date with the latest statistics about my team, so I'm a bit concerned here to see that I've just got a review email telling me that I've got a couple of people who've now exceeded the sickness threshold. I need to have a word with Ian and Elaine. I know both of them have had a bit of flu recently over the winter, and I just need to check there's nothing else going on. Now, my new boss has asked for lots of information about the team. Most of the stuff I've got, but he also wants to look forward and review predicted future attrition, which is something I don't have a report for. I know the system has some very clever algorithms that can highlight potential levers and the reasons for that prediction. It's so clever it blows my mind a bit. Now, in the old days it would have really concerned me, but now the analytics are so agile, I can just ask the question of the data and get the information even though the meeting starts in the next few minutes. Let me show you how I can do it. Hey Siri, open day by day. You can see here that prior to the meeting, some of my colleagues have shared with me our key performance goals. My team generally is a really good team. We're pretty much on target in terms of our objectives for the year, and everyone really understands how we align to the organisation's goals. I've also got visibility here of all of the feedback that the team's getting. Now, rather than having to go through and read all the comments individually, the analytics can actually work out whether the comment is negative, neutral or positive, and just show me a summary of that sentiment. It saves me a huge amount of time not having to trawl through different comments, and I'm really pleased to see that the vast majority of the comments we're getting as a team are really positive. I've also got some information here about our latest performance ratings. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, my new boss is really interested in anyone who's at high risk of leaving, and that's the report I haven't currently got. So let me get that information now. High risk, by performance, by reason. And it's as simple as that. I simply ask the question of the data and it brings me back that information. This agility really helps me in helping to manage based on evidence rather than just my gut instinct. Although obviously my knowledge of the team is still really important. I can see here that I'm concerned that Jen Jacobs is showing up as a high risk of leaving because she's a really great performer. The most significant factor in that prediction is the time she's been in her current grade. So I really want to talk to my new boss about a potential of getting Jen a promotion as quickly as possible so that we reduce the risk that we'll lose her. Hi, I'm Caroline. I've got a couple of things to prepare for tomorrow's senior management meeting. The HRD and Head of Shared Services want to be able to show their finance colleagues the contribution HR is making. I've decided the best thing to do is to give the HRD a dashboard to summarise the benefits of recent changes and provide the Head of Shared Services with a model to demonstrate the cost savings that can now be realised. Here's the HRD's dashboard. I had to bring in data from lots of other systems, which is now really easy. I've also made some assumptions in how I calculate average cost of hire. That could be changed if needs be. I put this information on the dashboard so everyone knows what they're looking at. The benefits we've achieved are significant: reduced attrition, more self-service, and a reduction in SR volumes and time to resolution. We're also seeing increased engagement scores and have improved our standing in the Times 100 Best Companies to Work For. That will help us in our upcoming recruitment drive. Engagement's a really interesting area. We've gone from running an annual survey to now checking in with our employees every 2 weeks. Just a few short questions, which we can then overlay with significant events such as reorganisations, chief executive statements or external news. The go-live of our HCM Cloud has certainly coincided with some of the highest scores we've had. One area that I still think is of concern are a couple of locations where attrition is still a problem and cost of hire is high relative to income. I've included this map as I know we've been looking at rationalising our office locations, and this information can help inform that type of decision. So that's the HRD's view of benefits, but I need more on costs to show real savings, as finance always like that. I've put that in the content I've created for the Head of Shared Services. I've decided to bring it to life by taking them on a journey through what we've achieved so far, what else we can do, and what additional savings will result. Let me show you that now. So I've started here with a couple of reports that show where we have made the biggest gains so far. The darker colours on the left show the biggest SR volume reductions, so we're getting far fewer pay and performance queries. On the right, the darker colour shows that the greatest efficiency savings have been in dealing with the SRs raised by new starters. We've done really well in realising what I would call the easier improvements in volume, efficiency and cost. And as you can see here, the analytics can forecast how these improvements will continue into the future, which helps us to manage proactively. The gaps show the gains, which are already impressive, but I'd like to show senior managers how we can identify the harder stuff, those small incremental improvements that will keep these trends going. And I want to use machine learning to do that. So in the background, I've created a model that learns from the data and predicts how likely an employee is to raise an SR. I won't bore you with how I did it, but it's so powerful. Machine learning continually opens up additional opportunities for improvement. I'd like to expose the output of the model and see if it can point to new areas to investigate that would have been hidden otherwise. Here we can see the initial summary. It's good that in this sample only 10% of employees are predicted to raise an SR. It's interesting if we look at the key drivers that travelling away is one of the most significant factors highlighted. I'd like to analyse that further, so I'll select the chart. The model also identifies that the amount of training is key to the prediction. It's always reassuring that it supports what we would have probably guessed anyway. It can also expose anomalies in the data, groupings that are unexpected. Here it's to do with employees in customer service, but I know last month we identified something that led us to provide extra training to a specific set of managers in one of our locations. I'm going to include these extra insights into a new dashboard. It's as simple as selecting them and clicking on the button up here. There's no need to create the reports myself. For the people travelling frequently, I want to know more about the prediction. Which type of SR requests are they likely to raise, for example? By updating the report with that information, I can then identify strategies to achieve these incremental gains, such as running additional training specifically for remote managers, for example. Now that I've updated the report to see the types of service requests these employees are predicted to raise, I can save this new version. I can also add commentary to nudge the senior managers into making a good decision, as shown here on my completed version. Now that machine learning has exposed some candidate areas for incremental gains, I need to provide the final part, a model that will allow senior managers to model the future shape of shared services and see the savings they can realise. We've achieved some improvements already and can be confident now of more. We have too much capacity in shared services, so the time is right to restructure. Here's a model I've created to see the impact on headcount. We can see the assumptions on the right-hand side and the total potential savings at the bottom. So far, this scenario is showing the improvements we've made to date. The green areas are those improvements: reduced volumes, increased productivity, reduced headcount, and cost, split between advisors and supervisors. But given the machine learning, the managers may want to model the impact of additional improvements. Let's say, to be cautious, we'll do 5% more. I can submit that information and then see the model update and show me the additional incremental gains. We can reduce headcount further in shared services and save even more money. What about if we had even more success? Let's model 20% gains and submit and review the information around that. Now we can see this more optimistic outcome and a saving of over £600,000. I'm not sure that HR will want to commit to that, but either way, it brings clarity to the decision making required. Perhaps they might not renew the contracts of agency staff or reallocate those people to other value-added activities. So I think my work is done. The senior HR leaders now have analytics that can clearly demonstrate the benefits of the changes being made. They can use machine learning to search out even more improvements and model the savings that can be realised as a result. So much better than we used to have from our old analytics. Hopefully the managers will identify areas from this that warrant a deeper analytics project, and I'll get assigned to it.